tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Stacy. I'm full-time a hairstylist and mom, but I grew up with an addict my whole life. That's all I've known about him. He's my brother, and I didn't really have much support growing up. So I decided to make a business called Peace Beyond Addiction for supporting siblings of addicts. Because we always kind of felt like we were the shadow children of the family. We had to be the responsible, strong ones for our parents, right? So we didn't really get the chance to heal ourselves. So I decided to start this business to help others like myself.
Wow. Uh, I absolutely love that, and I think that resonates probably with a lot of people. I think addiction's more common than we think. Um,
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah, in so many ways. And
Mhm.
do you mind if I just start off asking, like, how would you define addiction?
That's a loaded question. So I always told people you can never put them as a whole, right? Because each addict is a different person. The only thing they have in common is addiction itself, but it can come in so many different shapes and forms. So, like, when I think of the word addict or addiction, it's just like this person that wasn't born wanting to be that, but it just one thing triggered them, and then they're lost in this hole that they can't get out of. And you have some that wanna get better and some that just they don't wanna use the tools. So it's like it's a hard question to answer because to me, I look at it in so many different forms.
Mm, I gotcha. Is that more because there's, like, different, steps in the story? And so
Absolutely. Like, when I work with people I've only worked with a few because it's a newer business, but, like, each story is so significantly different. Even my own, like, very open about my story. Like, my brother, he has some narcissistic qualities too, so, like, he very much plays the victim. Everyone else is to blame. He's very angry. It's been, like, since he's 15, he's known his 40s, nothing's changed. Then I have someone else who she wants so bad to get better and beat this, but she's constantly battling her addiction, and she has good relationships with her family, but they have to set boundaries every time she relapses, understandably so. And then you have another one who wants a relationship with family, but they don't know how to do it. So it's like it's just every single person, it's so significantly different. So that's why I always try to be super open-minded and very positive to these people because there is hope. Even if you can't help the addict, you can help yourself.
mhm, yeah, and well, there's, like, so many things you said I wanna ask questions on, because you mentioned character traits, and you mentioned boundaries, and you mentioned relationships with family, and
Mhm.
if we can touch on all 3 of those things, like, um, how what is what's a healthy boundary? How do you set a healthy boundary? There's, like, so much on boundaries.
There's so many boundaries. There's different kinds of boundaries. Um, I guess I could use myself as an example. Like, I've actually told people because there's a lot of them that are afraid to set the boundaries because like, what if my family member gets mad at me? But there's boundaries you can even set without their knowledge. Like, they don't even need to really know because it's not it's for your sanity, right? Like, it's a healthy thing to do instead of drowning in fear or worry. Um, there's boundaries where you can easily just flat out say, like, say your sibling reaches out to you for money, be like, "I'm sorry, but I can't support you with money, but I will support you with love."
Mm,
Or when you get a phone call from, say, a police officer saying, "We need information about your sibling," blah, 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 said, don't even answer. You don't have to answer. Like, there's little things you can do that seem so hard that really will benefit everybody in the end.
mhm.
But really, the boundary depends on what that person needs in order to have a life with or without that addict,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I was just about to ask, like, how do you know what's a good boundary to set? How do you know if you're, like, going too far or if you're going too little? Like, how can you know that?
That again, it really depends on what they need. Like, one of my clients, she wants a relationship with her sister, but she's like, "How do I let my sister realize, like, I need her as a big sister, not because she's younger." And she's like, "But I always take on the older sister role because my sister has these addictions." But she's like, "But now I have a child. I want her in my life, but not if she's using." I said, "You can if you know your audience, meaning, like, if she's sweet and sensitive, you can say what you need to say in a way that she will hear her. Like, 'I love you. I'm here for you. I wanna support you. But if you're gonna go down this road, I need to have some space from you until you're ready to,' little things like that. Or like, 'Hey, I really need my big sister. Could you hear me out? I've had a bad day.'" Like, almost make that addict feel needed. Um, but then there's other ones, like, with my brother who wants nothing to do with stuff, I flat out said to him, I know him. I know his audience. Like, he's one where I have to be very blunt with him, and I basically just said, "Look, you can't be a part of mine and my children's lives until you're ready to get better, and until then, we'll be your biggest cheerleaders." So I leave the positive at the end, so that's what he hears last.
Mhm. I got that. So,
Mhm.
I love that, like, knowing who they are, and that's
Yeah.
and it's nice because they're your siblings, so you should be pretty at least better at that than a stranger,
100%.
and then leaving with the positive, like, explaining, "This is how we can, move forward in this aspect when you're ready." Um,
Mhm.
I I think that hope is so important because that's hard for an addict. Um
Well, and another thing that siblings or just family members in general need to accept is even when you set the boundary, you have to be prepared to not get what you want back from them.
Hmm,
There's some that will reciprocate well, there's some that will completely shut you out, um, get mad. Yeah, there's always that risk, but you can't let it stop you because if you don't set that boundary, then you're gonna constantly be living with all those negatives in your head, like the fear, the worry, the walking in eggshells with them, it sets a healthy dynamic, like and you could be setting a good example to them too without even realizing it.
mhm, hmm. What, hmm, there's just so much to that as well.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, I've had people even, I have one client that I'm helping her set boundaries with, not the addict, but with the family members involved with the addict because they keep pressuring her to make a better relationship with this person, with the addict. And she's like, "And I'm not ready." And I said, "Well, it kind of goes to the same thing. Like you can have a relationship with your grandparents and say, 'Look, I love you. I appreciate your support, but I'm not ready for that yet. I'm gonna go." I told I'm like, "Go at your own pace and let them know that. Like if they love you, they will support you, but you have to say these things because they're not mind readers."
mhm,
So like the boundaries can play a role in the whole family.
hmm, hmm. How do you I think, at least for me, hopefully for someone else, hopefully I'm not alone here, but, sometimes having those conversations and setting those firm boundaries is, like,
Yeah,
scary,
it is
super
scary.
scary. And do you have any advice for how to deal with the fear of setting a proper boundary and the fear of the possible repercussions of setting a proper boundary?
You have to get in a good headspace with yourself first. I mean, thinking of a boundary and writing it down and figuring out what you want to say is easy, but it's the delivery that scares people. I've had to set boundaries with not just the addict in my family, but like even with my own parents. I have a relationship with them, but I had to, some people I even like suggest try counseling, even grief, anything that will help you find the strength to say what you need to say in order to live a life that you feel at peace. So you have to get in that headspace first. You don't want to just come out with it because then it's going to be all emotion. Not that that's a bad thing, but you want to be in a good headspace, level headed, and That way you come off very confident to the receiver,
Mm,
and it's less likely they're gonna bounce back at you, right? They're gonna be like, "Oh, she really knows her she really wants this," right? So it's like yeah. So, I mean, that's kinda what I did with my parents. It took me months. I wrote down a bunch of stuff, and I basically just said, "Look, I adore you both, and I cannot imagine what it's like to have to raise a child with addiction, and you did the best that you could do my whole life, but I'm healing in my way, just like you're healing in your way, and we both need to give each other some grace." So you can say your boundaries in a kind, loving way
mm,
so they hear you. Like, it's just a matter of, like, write it down. If it takes a million different ways of saying it, like, just write it down, because that right one is gonna be like, "That's it. That's what I need to say. That's how I need to say it." And again, it goes back to just knowing your audience.
mm. So, okay. So,
Mhm,
let's say I'm trying to set a boundary. I've written
mhm.
down, like, something I
Yep.
think would be good. Um, and then I get to the moment where I'm on the phone and
Mm,
I'm supposed to say my
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Do you have any good when I'm supposed to say my boundary, do you have any good, like, tips on what to do in that moment when the anxiety is filling in, the stress is filling in, the fear is filling in, like, how do you calm down in that moment and relay what you need to say?
So before you get on the phone or get in person, kind of take your breaths, get in your mindset, repeat these things to you, like, I got this. I'm confident. I am brave. I can do this. Just repeat that to yourself many times to calm down, call them, have that piece of paper where you wrote it down, because sometimes seeing it on paper helps you remember better when you're nervous. And just flat out say, hey, look, I wanted to talk to you about such and such. I just want to lead with, I love you. I support you. I'm here for you, but this is what I need. You're not saying I need this from you. It's what you just say, this is what I need in order to have a relationship with you in the future. And then say your boundary, and then end it with something positive again, and then just leave it. And then however they respond is how they respond. You can't control that. It's you got. I mean, we can never control how people think about us, how they want to react. That's all on them. You can only control what you say or do. And even if they come back at you negatively, just stay calm and just be like, I said my piece. This is what I need. I'd be happy to talk to you about it at a different time. And just leave it.
Hmm,
Sometimes the less, the better.
hmm, yeah. I like what you said about, like, leaving it, and I think sometimes even giving them time
Mm,
because they haven't had time to write it out and figure out too,
correct.
and you'd be like,
Right.
"And you can respond to me whenever works for you," kind of thing.
Yep. Mhm.
Hmm. Um, but do you I guess, what are some common mistakes people have when they're trying to have these conversations or they're trying to set boundaries that maybe you've seen?
What I've seen, quick to react, very defensive. Um, People sometimes come in very emotional and defensive and like, I need this and you need to back up. Like it can get very like heated because they're just so passionate and upset, and emotions are flying high, right? That's why I always tell them, like, you have to come in with a calm, confident headset, because it will help that person you're giving the info to stay kind of mirror what you're doing,
Mm,
right? Like, it's normal humans to, like me, we're very calm right now, right? But if like I start getting all excited, you'd react, right? Like that's just what we do. So you kind of want to come in calm and collected. Even if that person does react negative or heated and they get loud, just stay calm. Stay calm. They will eventually mirror you. But that's something I've seen is people tend to come in hot because they're scared or they're nervous or like defensive, whatever. But it's sometimes if you want the boundary, you have to set the example.
mm. I think, in those moments, I think even just naming what you're feeling
Mhm.
can help with that
Yeah.
reactivity, like, just straight up being like, "I am so nervous right now." It depends on the relationship, you gotta know your audience, but
That's it.
you can be like, "I'm nervous. I'm worried this will turn into some big fight or something. I don't want that." I will be like, "I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling stressed, but I'm gonna try my best." Um,
That's perfect. Like, that's a good way to say it. Like, I've even said to my parents when I sat them down, I came in and said, "I can always talk to you too, but I am a little nervous. I'm not here to hurt your feelings. I'm not here to start a fight. I just need to be heard. So if you can both give me the grace to let me speak, when I'm done, I happily will hear you out as well." And they both are, "Oh, okay." And then they sat there and they listened, and I could tell by my mom's face she was getting kinda heated, but she sat there and she was very respectful of my space, and then I gave them the floor, so it helped that I came in, I let them know, "Hey, I am a little nervous, but I'm confident of what I need to say."
what,
And I was respectful.
do you mind if I ask, like,
Mhm.
what you were sharing with your parents and how it went and
Sure.
kinda
I was sharing. So, yeah, my brother was in prison at the time, and I wrote him a letter basically saying, like, "I love you. I'll support you when you wanna get clean, but from now here on out, I can't have a relationship with you. I have to worry about my children and your children and all that stuff." So, I told my parents, I said, "I wrote this letter to my brother Brad," and, um, they said, "We had a huge fight prior to this," how they told me that, "Why would it be just a letter? You need to fix this relationship with your brother, like, you love him, that he loves you, like, you need to be the strong one and show him," and that really took a toll on me. I went to therapy because I became the sibling out of 4 of us that had to fix everything, like, had to be the responsible one, the strong one for everybody, and it really wore me out. So when I finally felt confident and good, I asked my parents to sit down with me, and I said, "I need to set some boundaries with you 2." But at first, they got defensive because they heard boundaries, like, "She doesn't want a relationship with us? What the what?" So I was like, "Hey, I gotta come in different." So that's when I said, "Do you mind if I come over and, like, we can have dinner and just hang out? There are some things I wanna talk about, nothing to be afraid of or anything like that, just I need to get some things off my chest." And they're like, "Okay, sure, no problem." So I came over, we ate, and then I said, "Okay, are we ready?" And that's when I said, "I'm a little nervous. I just want you to, because I don't wanna hurt any feelings, that's not my intention. I'm not coming in with any ill intent. I love you both, you're great parents, I'm very blessed. It's just there's some things I need to get off my chest." So that's when I asked them to give me the safe space and give me the floor. So I basically said to them, like, I'm gonna start with, and that's what I started with, was like, "I love you, you were great parents." Growing up was great, but it wasn't easy having my brother taking a lot of their attention away. Um, so I learned to kinda just grow up a little faster. Not that that's a bad thing, it doesn't always have to be negative because I had a lot of support, but from my other siblings. But I said, when you both really were angry at the fact that I wanted a boundary with my brother and made me feel like I had to fix it, that resonated with me and it sat with me, and I didn't really like that. I said to them, "I'm healing what I feel is best for my sanity, for my peace, for my own clarity. And I only know how to heal as a sibling. I don't know what it's like to heal as a parent. Just like I don't know how it is to heal for his kids. We're all mourning the same person, but in different ways. So I'm being respectful of, I said to my parents, I'm being respectful of your healing because I don't know what it's like to have a child as an addict. Just like you don't know what it feels like to have a sibling as an addict. Like, it's just so different. I can easily detach because I'm not, he didn't grow inside me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not his parent. I had a connection with this person. And yes, I miss them. I love them. But I have to disconnect because it was drowning me, and I told them, I said, "You're not losing your family. We're not falling apart. We just have this little glitch." That's all it is. So I said to them, like, "So I really appreciate if you 2 just kinda just back off a little bit and let me just heal in my own way. Doesn't mean I hate him. I need to do this, and it's not gonna affect our relationship as long as you respect that boundary. And that's basically what I said to them.
And, how was their side?
So theirs was pretty good. My mom was, like I said, she looked a little like she had tears in her eyes and looked a little upset. She didn't say much. She got quiet, which is never a good sign when, when my mom is quiet. But I was like, it's all right. Don't. And I kept telling myself over and over, don't react. Don't get defensive. This doesn't, don't just stay said. I kept repeating this in my own head. And my dad comes up and sits right next to me, and he puts his hand on my hand, and he's like, "I hear you, and I love you," and we both just started crying. And then my mom, she didn't say anything, and I said, "Mom, you okay?" She's like, "Mhm." I'm like, "Okay." I said, "Well, I'm gonna go." My dad's like, "You don't have to leave." I said, "No, no, like, I'm not mad. I just want this to sit with everybody, and if you wanna talk more, I'm totally open, but I think this is probably the time where we could probably put a pause on it. I can feel it. Emotions are feeling high. Even though it's quiet in the room, you could just feel it, right? So I left. But then I think my dad checked in with me a few times, but my mom, she didn't talk to me for 3 months
Mm,
after that. So it was tough. That was a really hard thing for me to grasp. I went through an emotional tornado because it's like, that's my mom, right? Like, I felt like I did something wrong. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm a disappointment. She's angry at me." But I was like, "No, like, shut up, Staci. Like, no, what you did was great. She just is processing in her own way, and I need to give her time." Yeah, 3 months is a long time. I look back and I think as a parent, I don't think I could do that to my kid. There's a lot of things I didn't agree with her, but at the same time, I can't control it. She's her own person. So, I know she wasn't ignoring me to be cruel. I think she was trying to I don't know, sometimes she tends to make things completely about herself, not to be vindictive. So I think that was probably a big part of why I didn't hear from her because she took that on very personally instead of realizing like, "Oh, wait, this actually stems from my brother." Like, that's kinda where it started. So I kinda like, when she finally reached out, she didn't bring it up. She just was more checking in like, "How are you? I miss you and the kids," and this and then. I took that as, "Okay, that's my mom's way of I'm ready."
mm,
That's
mm,
just because I know her.
mhm,
Whereas my dad is like me, we talked about it a couple times afterwards, and then we were good.
mm. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Um,
it was tough.
yeah, way to not, freak out for 3 months. I think,
Yeah, I could my husband said the same thing. He's like, "I can't you're just keeping it together." I'm like, "Well, what else can I do? I can't control this." Like, I it kinda goes back to, like, a theory I read about the let them theory. I don't know if you ever heard of that. But it's like you have to, like, just let them do what they need to do. Think how they wanna think. I can't control that. I can only control myself and my own reactions and what I need from them, and I already said my piece. What more could I do? Like, getting mad wasn't gonna make it better. Yeah, I was hurt that she basically ignored me for 3 months, but and my husband's like, "Are you gonna bring that up?" I'm like, "I don't really feel like it's worth it because I've accepted this is just who she is." Me saying that's not gonna change anything,
mm,
and I think just giving her that time is the best thing I could have done.
mm. That is yeah, I had a friend,
Mhm.
um, and, she has to we were just sitting with my family,
Yeah.
and, well, my aunt is a therapist, and we were talking about boundaries just came up for some reason, I don't remember. My friend was over, and she asked this question, she like, it seems like how do I kinda like, her wording was so good, I'm trying to get it just right.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
Oh, sorry, the response was, "Setting boundaries is one of the most vulnerable things you can do." Um, because you are saying exactly what it takes for you to be willing to have a relationship. You gotta do these things or else we can't have a relationship, and can you imagine how hard that is to say? And I
Mhm.
think, um, I don't know, that's just your story reminded me of that, and, um, I think it's awesome how you handled it. I don't know.
Thank you. I appreciate that because for a year, I didn't think I did it well. But as time went on, I'm like, "No, go you, Stacy. You got this. You did it." Like,
Yeah.
so it's like
Go Stacy.
yeah, exactly. Like, so I was proud of myself because I'm like, I did eventually, it took a while, but I did eventually get what I needed. Like, they've been wonderful. Like, they know what I'm doing with this business, and they're like, "We've never been more proud, and we love that you're doing this journey and helping others." And like, it just feels good. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did that boundary because look what it did. Like, especially my mom, like, it got her to be very accepting of it and realize that this is not a bad thing. Like, it's not like she did anything wrong. I try to tell people too, when you want to set a boundary and be vulnerable, it is not a sign of weakness. It is definitely a sign of strength. 1000%. So people need to get that out of their head. Like, being vulnerable is human. We're born to be vulnerable. Like you said, it's God gave it to us to make relationships with people. So why do we fight it? It's like we got to stop. I
Mhm.
mean, because it's so freeing. Like, I get it's scary. Obviously, I've done it so many times. Like, I mean, I look back at when I was 20 years ago, and I was very, like, a doormat. Like, "Oh, just do whatever you say," but it's like, now I'm like, "No." Like, I can still be kind and say what I need to get what I need, without hurting somebody. It's just it goes back every time I say this over and over, I feel like a broken record. You know your audience. You just have to know your audience because you can say the exact same thing in different ways,
Mhm.
you know?
And I I was listening to a Simon Sinek podcast,
Mhm.
and I've been just thinking on this topic so much ever since I heard it. He's talking about, like, the quality of our relationships is the number one predictor of our happiness in life and our fulfillment and that. And he's like, we all have such, I guess, go get 'em energy, just like grinded out energy for things like the things we eat. Like, I'm not doing sugar, or I'm not,
Mm,
I don't know, I'm on this crazy diet, or our workouts, or our morning routines, like these things. But then when it comes to our relationships, we just let that go however it goes, and it's fine. And like, if that's the most important part of your life, maybe we should like be more diligent in our life about the relationships.
yeah. It's true, I like that you said that because I was just talking about this with friends, how we're so, like, restricted on, like, how we eat and work out, like, little things like this. It's like, why is that easier to do than with someone that's important to us? And I think it's because when you do restrictions on, say, food or whatever, there's no emotional attachment to it, whereas, like, a person, like, "Oh, if I set this boundary, are they gonna, like, not want anything to do with me? That's not what I want." But it's like so you get a little more fearful of the loss. But at the same time, like with my brother, and I've had friends that are addicts too that have been in and out of my life, but like, yeah, I was scared, especially with certain friends. Like, I was like, I could possibly lose them forever by saying what I need from them. But I had to take that risk because it's like the right people will always be in your circle, even if they have to step out for a little while.
Mhm.
Some of them do come back, like and I always have faith that, like, even though he's blood related to me and he's my brother, we have that bond. He hasn't been in my life for 8 years. Um, I haven't physically seen or spoken to him since my daughter was born 8 years ago. So, that I had to mourn, basically, the person I was close with, even though he's alive, I had to mourn that, and you have to let yourself go through those phases. 'Cause that's part of healing, right? You have to, like, go through the storm just to get to the light, right? Like, you just have to muddle through. I used to always say, dealing with his addictions and mourning him, I felt like I was in this big cloud of fog. There was light, but I couldn't see my way out, so I just had to shuffle through until I got to the clearing, and that's basically what I did, it took a long time. I'm down to a point where I can actually talk about it without getting angry or crying. I started a business over it, right? So it's like I'm in a really good place, but it took a while, and that's okay. Like, And I have faith that one day we will come together again. I really do feel it in my bones. I think it's gonna be a while.
Mm,
But that's one thing people have to understand when you go into setting boundaries, you have to be willing to have that possibility of letting that person permanently go. But that's based on them. That's not on you.
mm. I think, that my wife and I, we keep talking about this thing of, like, because I guess we both feel a lot of anxiety, we deal with a lot of anxiety, um, don't know why, we're just wired that way. It's a good bonding thing for us, but we talk about one of the biggest anxieties is that, primal instinct that you'll be kicked out of the tribe, and so naming that helps so much, but it's like, I don't wanna share this thing because and we talk about because, ask why is that, why is that, why is that, and eventually it always comes back to, well, I don't wanna be kicked out of the tribe. You have to realize, like, some tribes aren't worth being in. Um, if you share your truth and hold your boundaries, you'll build the tribe that you'll like and is healthy and happy.
Yep. Mhm.
Um,
1000%. Like, I've even told my kids, "Find your people." I mean, even if it's 2, like, it doesn't matter. Just find the people that make you feel your true authentic self, whether they're related to you or not. Like, family's family, right? But you can choose to have who you want in your life that's gonna benefit you and let you just fly your flag, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you want in life, and that kinda goes back to if you have a friend that's an addict, a family member, whether it's your parent, your sibling, your spouse, your child, whatever, you have to know, like, you'll always have that bond because you're related by blood, right? But, like, there's people that have siblings that they've never gotten along and they don't want anything to do with each other. It's sad, but oh well. Like, that's just the nature of the beast. Like, I've known people that are siblings and they haven't had a relationship for almost 20 years, and they're fine. Because they just know that there's just no way of making that work. They've accepted it. It is sad to other people outside of it, but if it works for them, then it's none of our business.
mhm. And I think if you're someone in that position where you're like, "I don't know, I bring this up, I don't wanna not have a relationship for 20 years," like, just know that is so hard, such a hard space to be in. It probably took these examples 20 years to get to a point where they're okay, it can take
Yeah.
time,
Yep.
and, um, but I'm sure when you put something down, you'll pick something up, and
Mm.
what
We're learning
and you
something every day.
yeah, you'll learn something, and you'll find people that fill that space in a way that's healthy, and you'll probably help the other person as well.
Love it.
Um, you, talk a lot in your work about, roles, like family roles and sibling roles. Can we talk a little bit about that? Not to be confused with cinnamon rolls, sibling.
That's good. Yes. That is a big one. That's probably like every session I've done, that's the first thing I lead with is because I always have my clients tell me what they feel their role is in the family, right? So when you're in a family with addiction or abuse, whatever, something traumatic, everybody seems to play a role, especially the kids in the family. Like, I became the fixer, the responsible one. I have another brother that is the avoider. I have another brother that's the caretaker. You know, we all kind of gave each other ourselves these roles. They're not given to you. You take them on as survival in the family. Um, and Yeah, I was never angry at my parents, but I kinda feel like I took on that role because they were so vulnerable with my brother's stuff. They kind of were falling apart. They would always come to me for venting and advice, and I felt like I was like, "Am I the parent? Like like, do I need to keep my crap together because my parents are falling apart over here?" Which for a long time, I was fine. I felt like, "That's okay, I'll do it, no problem." But then every time I would talk to them or vent, I was so drained because I realized, "Wait, I'm the child." But then I felt like if I stop doing that, then they don't feel supported, and it's a sick cycle, you know? And then I had my one brother who they gave such a easy time to, the avoider. They were like, "Yeah, he just wants to avoid, but we'll let him do that." I'm like, "What? How come he gets away with it and I'm over here counseling you?" It felt like it was very it's these crazy roles that you take on, but I really think a lot of it stems from the fact that you feel like it's like, again, goes back to surviving in the family of this crazy addiction that you have going on around you.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's crazy because there's so many different roles. I mean, so many. There's a lot of common ones. The responsible one seems to be the number one. Um, Sorry, my dogs are playing.
That's that's alright. I can hear him, and, the puppy lover in me is like, "Can I see your dog? I wanna see your dog."
You might have to edit that out.
You're all good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, okay. Let's see. So, yo, what are I guess I can pull up these roles because there were a lot. From what I saw, we have the responsible one, the caretaker, the achiever, the invisible one, the rebel, the avoider. Um, what how do you I guess, do you feel like you would just know off the bat which one you are, or do you feel like it's a process to figure out? And when you know it when you know it, like, how can that help?
For sure. I feel like you kind of know. I mean, you may not have a name for it right away until somebody like points out, like, "Are you one of these?" And you're like, "Oh, yeah, that is me." You know, because I didn't know until I like started researching and doing more and more stuff about addiction. And I was like, okay, I'm literally borderline a few of them. Like, definitely the peacemaker, the achiever, and the responsible one. And by achiever, I mean, like, I felt like I always had to do so much better in life so that my parents didn't have another child to worry about, right? Which I felt like in a way I was like, maybe it's a good motivation. Like my brother's crap made me like not want to go down that road. But it was a strain I put on myself because I was like, oh, I got to do more. I got to do more. I got to do more. Like I got to keep making my parents proud. When I was like, no, you don't. You got to make yourself proud, dummy. Like, like they'll be proud of you no matter what. Like that's just what parents do. Good parents, anyways, right? But then when my therapist was even like, "I kinda feel like you take on the responsible one and the peacemaker too." I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, it goes back to, like, when your parents are stressed out, like, you try to make peace and calm everybody down." I'm like, "Oh, yes, I do. Hey, you know." Sorry.
You're all good. No
Um,
worries.
yeah, but, like, I was like, "Yeah, okay, you're right." Like, I guess I so sometimes it takes someone pointing it out for you to be like the aha moment. Um And some people just know right off the bat what they are. Like,
Hmm.
everyone's different. For me, it took someone else telling me. Um, I knew from the beginning I was probably the achiever just because of all the things I was doing in life, trying to be the good child. Um, Especially being the only girl too that like plays a big role.
So that child that takes on almost that parenting role because of the chaos in the family system, um, if you had a message for them, what would you say to them?
Ah, that's a big one. So I guess my advice would be you have to try to find a way to disconnect from taking that role because it's not your role to take. You can be a parent to your own children, but your parents are parents. That's their role, not yours. So you have to find a way to disconnect from that. That comes back to the boundaries, like, and it's easier said than done because it took me years, obviously. Like, it took me a long time. But I also didn't have the support and the knowledge that I do now. Like, if someone is in the thick of it, I would love to be like, hey, do this, do this, do that. You know, like, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I can give you the tools. Like, counseling, even if it's grief counseling, counseling for families of addicts, doing Peace Beyond Addiction, like having someone kind of guide you through things. All that's there's tools out there. Um, But the first thing you can do is find peace in yourself and knowing that you're a good person and you're doing everything without ill intent. You're trying to be a good child to your parents, but that's what you are. You're the child to your parents. Just because you're an adult doesn't mean you have to act like them. You can still be there for them without fixing them, right? And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes because you feel like if I stop being taking that role, oh, I don't care anymore. And that's not even true. The fact that you want to get rid of that role means you do care. You care not just about them, you care about yourself. And that's the important thing.
What
Mhm.
role should the parents have in your life? What role should I have as a child and should the parents have, if that makes sense?
Exactly that, child and parent. That's it. Um, Parents, especially when their kids become adults, they don't have control over how to parent anymore. But what they can do as still being a parent is still, you never stop supporting, you never stop caring, you never stop loving, you never stop being their cheerleader. Like that's something parents can continually give forever. Um, and the child can keep living their lives and still also love their parent, support their parent, but never have to you don't have to fix things for each other. That's not what that's about, right? Like now if you go up to your parent and say, I need your help, they can help support you in some way, but it's not their job to fix your problem. Just like if they come to you too, like, I need support with something. Like when my mom's like, I need to talk about your brother. I had to tell myself and her, be like, okay, I'm here to listen. You know, like that was the main keyword, listen. Like I'm not here to fix and give her advice. Like unless she flat out asks me, like, what do you think I should do? I'll be like, honestly, this is what I did. Take what you want with it.
Hmm.
Instead of me being like, I think you should do this. No, tell her what you did to feel better.
Mhm.
Or be like, I don't know. But there is support out there, mom. Like, if you want to do this, you could go to this meeting, you could go to that meeting. You know, giving them the tools that they already know are there. Sometimes it just need to be reminded. But again, you're not fixing it. You're just listening is the big thing in families is I think a lot of people always want to like as parents too, they always want to fix problems for their kids. Um, Even as an adult, but they can't. You can't.
Hmm. The I think that's the hardest pill to swallow about growing up is, like, your parents eventually some point, they're not supposed to fix everything anymore, and vice versa. You're not supposed to fix their stuff. We are we're way more cheerleaders than we are project managers, I feel like.
That's perfect. Yes, great way to say it. I mean, because growing up, your parents, they're your guide and they give you, it's like they're giving you the tools of life. Like, okay, so when this happens, try this way. When this happens, right? As you're growing up, you're learning and you're watching and you're mimicking and you're listening to their advice and they're, trying to teach you these things and blah, blah, blah. But then when you get to a certain point where you're out of the house as an adult, you're supposed to take those tools, take that little toolbox of life and go into the world, and figure it out on your own now with all the knowledge and tools that they gave you. And that's where the parents needed, like, I did it. I gave them everything. Now it's on them. Doesn't mean I'm not here. I'm here if you need me with love and support, but I gave you the tools already. So don't ask me to fix it because you got them. You have them. And that's kind of what parents need. I mean, some parents do, but that's kind of where it stemmed from. Like, I think a lot of people get lost in that.
Just a little sidestep of that's tough. So as a parent, as parents,
Yeah.
I think knowing that and is our end goal is that by the time they leave the house is they've got that toolbox. Like, not only should we give them the tools, we should be practicing opportunities to use those tools. Like, I can give you this wrench, but if you don't know how to turn it, there's a
Yeah.
and so we can coach on that. Interesting. I do wanna ask, you talked about, like, these are the resources I suggest, like, you're saying that to your mom or you would.
Yeah.
Um, why why don't people get the help they need or seek, like, the resources?
I think a lot of it's fear of hearing what they don't even though they know it's there, a lot of people don't wanna hear what they know is true because it means you have to accept it. And it's kinda like when someone wants to lose weight. Well, they're just gonna keep complaining instead of accepting that maybe I do need to get healthy or, like, whatever. But I think a lot of it stems from fear. Um, it's like letting go of that little bit of control with certain things. I mean, I've met so many people that want help, but are 1, they don't know how to go about it, or 2, they're just bringing that talking about it with someone is bringing up old demons for them, and then a lot of times they're just not ready to go down that rabbit hole yet. I know I've had people that wanted to do my program, and they're like, "I wanna do this, but I don't know if I'm ready to, like, sit and talk about it and get angry and cry and all this stuff." Like, reliving the traumas is really hard. I think that's why people are so afraid of therapy. Um, it's reliving that trauma, and because they always say it always gets worse before it gets better. Like, you have to, like, literally goes back to walking through the storm to get to the light. Like, you have to go backwards in order to get fully forward. So, like, I think that's what stops a lot of people is just fear of opening up and opening those wounds again. That's a big one.
Do you have a favorite way of dealing with fear?
Like myself, I do a lot of breathing exercises, and I tend to be I'm a talker, obviously. So, like, when I'm highly stressed, I find that certain person I can just, blah, 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 talk, 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 and just unload, like, I'm someone where I need to talk it out, like word vomit. That's my stress relief, and usually it's my poor husband. I, like, unload too, so
Do you do you have anything you tell 'em? You're like, "Alright, ready for a word vomit," like, to get them like, "Here's your coffee, sit on this couch, and get word vomit time."
I look at him like, "Ah, I need to vent." He's like, "Okay." And he'll just sit there, cross his arms, and he's like, "I'm ready." And I just go. Like, and he listened the whole time. Like, the rant could be 2 minutes, it could be a half hour, and he sits there. And sometimes he comes back with feedback, and usually at the beginning, he's learned, this took years, but he's learned, he's like, "Before you rant, do you want advice or you want me to just listen?" I'm like, "Just listen."
Let's go, way to learn that.
I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, way to go, man.
Yes. It's so important because a lot of times with certain spouse, especially with women, like, men are the fixers, women are, like so, like, a lot of times as women or just any spouse, you just wanna, like, say everything and just be pissed off and vent away and not have anyone fix it. Just hear me. Please just hear me, right? Like, whereas a lot of times spouses, the other spouse wants to take on that role like, "How can I fix you? I don't like seeing you hurt." It all comes from a good place. But yes, like, he learned, so I'm so happy, but, like, that's usually my release of when I just need to get my word vomit out. That's for me.
Um, with all the hard stuff that's going on with your family, what are the best things your husband has done or could do for you, um, through those times?
He was the solid ground in my chaos. My life was sh a forceful river, and he was that steady boulder in the middle, like, that I needed, and, I don't know, it's like it's weird, it's like he knew that he had to be that person because there was just my whole family, like, we love each other, but it was just, like, here and there, blah, 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 and it's just like he's like, "Okay, focus, I'm right here, let's put on her blinders and have her you know what I mean?" So it's like he was the steady ground I needed, like, the it kept me sane through all of it. Very supportive, let me do my own journey, like, there was no judgment. I mean, he very flat out said, like, "I don't know what you're going through, but I see what it's doing to you. So whatever you feel that you need to do to feel better, I got your back." So that he was definitely played a huge role in my healing, 100%.
Mhm.
I'm very grateful.
That, it just hits me as a husband trying to think
Mm.
this. Wow. Mm.
I mean, I think even if you don't have a spouse when you're going through this stuff, you can have someone in your corner, whether it's a friend, another sibling, it could be anybody. Like you, it's just you kind of know, you feel in your bones and your heart that one person. You're like, when you're stressed out, you're like, there's that one person that pops in your head that you want to talk to. That's your body telling you that's the one. That's the one that's going to make you feel better. So it's like your instincts know it, whether, like I said, it doesn't matter who it is.
Mhm. Um, how I'd if you need time to, like, think of an answer for this because it's such a I don't such a random question. How do you think men can or should go about being that rock for their spouse?
Letting their spouse communicate with them, like hearing, listening is the number one. You gotta listen. Listening is so big. I hate to say, but women are pretty simple creatures. Like the little things mean so much. And listening is a huge one. Huge. Like, I can't tell you how many times people's spouses had fights and they're like, just listen. Like, because they're being talked over or the husband's trying to make a solution for something and they're like, and the woman just gets flustered because she's like, I just need to say what I need to say. Shut up. Like, stop trying to fix it. So it's like, listen, listen and listen, listen. Like, you don't need to respond right away. You can lead with before she starts, like my husband said, do you want me to just listen or do you want my advice? And there's been times where I said, I'm not sure yet, but I need you to listen first. So, like, and communication. So, listening and communication. Like, so many couples, I'm guilty of it too. In our early marriage, we're so afraid to say what we really wanted from each other. And it's like, why? You married this person for a reason. Like, saying what you need isn't going to be like, I'm divorcing you now because you said you needed me to listen. Like, no, like, that's not, it's so silly. But I'm guilty of it. I was afraid to express what I needed from my husband, all because I thought I was going to get a negative reaction. And so, what if I did? He needs to hear it, just like he needed to tell me, like, "Shut up and listen to me sometimes, like, you talk too much." Little things like that, like, just you gotta learn to really just talk. It's so important. I mean, you live in the same home with each other, you share a family together, you share a home together, like, why are we not talking to each other? Like, we have to talk. We have to talk, talk, talk. Yeah, it's so important. Even if it's, like, little things, we've learned to, like, at the end of the day, like, we're both exhausted. We don't really feel like talking to anybody, but we both still, "How was your day?" "Ah, I'm tired." "Yeah, I hear ya." Give 'em a hug, and then we go on for our night. That's all we need, just recognizing that each other are exhausted. Whereas in the past, I'd be like, "Oh, should we do you want me to do this, do that?" And it just stressed each other out more. Like, no, just acknowledging the fact that we're both tired. "Love you. I'm gonna go upstairs now." Like, it's so simple, like, but it's those little things that go such a long way.
Mhm. Hmm. I think, a good framework if you came from a family that didn't talk or didn't listen, um, a good framework for that, I actually learned in a couple therapy appointment. It was, like, super cool. One of my favorite therapy appointments I've had, um, is first you repeat back what they say. You don't have to say word for word. I had to learn that, oh, it's not word for word. It could be a summary, but a summary. You repeat back as a summary as specifically the words are. So what I heard you say was, and then you give a summary, and then you say, was that correct? And then your spouse will say, you missed this part, or yeah, that was right. And then you say, okay, what that brings up inside for me is XYZ. And my response is ABC. And so that framework of, you know, what I heard you say was one, what that brings up for me is two, and what my response is three. Um, that's a framework you could practice. At first, it'll feel weird, but after only doing like back and forth like 2 times, like when I first did it with my wife, I felt so heard and so validated and also like my mind expanded on like how much I wasn't understanding of what she was saying. Like I thought I knew what she was saying. Um, and I thought I've known her for a while. I've got pretty good context clues. I could probably know. And it's like there's on that second part when like what that brings up for me inside, like there's so much that it brings up for her that I just never even knew. And we think so much faster than we can talk. So slowing that down can help so much. And practice at first with topics that aren't super heated. And then when you get that skill, it's really helpful with like more heated topics.
Correct. It becomes like muscle memory. I mean, because that's the thing too, when you grow up in families that are loud and are yellers or avoiders, and then you had addiction to it, all stuff, like, it becomes like you're normal without even realizing it until someone else points it out that it doesn't work for them. And you're like, "What?" Like, "Okay." So you'd have to, like, rewire your brain, like, not saying, like, what you do is wrong, but it's okay to learn to shift a little bit in order to make your spouse feel more heard and vice versa. It's compromise.
Yeah. The it's a hard pill to swallow, but there are multiple right ways, and there are multiple good ways. One can be faster, one can be longer, one can be around the bend, one can be over the mountain, but, like, either way you get there, and that's, like I feel like a whole lot of marriage is just figuring out the way that works for both of us. One may have one way of doing it that has worked for a long time, the other has another way of doing it that's worked for a long time, and you have to let go of, like, there's no one right way. Like, we can find something that works for both of us.
Now, when I was in the heavy midst of my brother's addiction, like, this is a rough one. So one of the toughest stories for my husband, it's a hard time when I bring it up, is we were pregnant with our second, and we just ended my grandpa's funeral, got home, and I get a phone call from my brother's second wife at the time saying, he's super drunk and he's depressed and he keeps talking about killing himself. And I'm like, what is happening? I just saw him. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, here's me being the fixer. I'm like, what do you need me to do? She's like, can you just come over? And I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to go over there. He's like, I don't know if that's good for you to be stressed out right now. Like, you're 5 months pregnant. You just put your grandpa in the ground. Like, I'm like, I'll be fine. Like, I'm tough, like, so I drove over there. And as I'm getting closer to the house, I could feel my heart racing. I'm like, okay, I'm sure this is totally fine. Like, just whatever. We'll just make sure he goes to bed and we'll be fine. Dealt with this before, right? So I get to the house and I open the door and it's like eerie. It's so eerie and quiet. I like instantly start panicking. I'm like, why is it so quiet? So I'm like looking for them in rooms quietly. I don't see anybody. And I finally start calling for them and I still don't hear anything. I'm like, what the hell? Finally, I'm like, I hear some noise in the garage. I go in there. The scene is so weird. So he's on a stool with an extension cord around his neck and she's holding his hand while texting. Yeah. And then he falls, the cord snaps down and he falls to the ground and she's still holding his hand while texting. And I scream, what the is going on here? Like, and she jumps. She's like, oh my, I'm so glad you're here. I'm like, what do you mean? What are you doing? Like, what are you both like? And I like ran to my brother and I take the cord off his neck and I smack in his face and he like comes to and he's like, Staci, what's up? I'm like, what's up? And I just smacked him on the face. I'm like, you piece of, how could you what are you doing? Like, what? And I looked at her, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is happening right now? Like, and then after I said that, within seconds, the back door, my parents busted down with this fear in their face, and they were screaming and hugging my brother and, like, saying, "Oh my," and I'm like, "What's happening?" And then finally, when everything started to calm down, we got my brother inside, laid him in bed. His wife's crying to my parents, and I finally said, "Can you just go by my brother for a minute? I wanna ask my mom and dad a question." And she's like, "Sure." So I asked my parents, I'm like, "How did you know to get here?" And my mom's like, "Well, she was texting us that Brad was gonna hang himself, and then she texts us that he was doing it. He's doing it right now." And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "What?" I'm like, "Doesn't that seem messed up to you? Like, that someone would just be like, 'They're doing it right now.' Like, why are you on your phone? Like, call 911." Like, what? It was they had such a toxic relationship. It was so insane. And my parents just didn't see that until I finally pointed it out. They're like, "Oh." I'm like, "Right? Like, what?" Like, I said, "You know what? He's good in bed, but I gotta go. Like, I don't want a miscarriage over this. Like, this is stupid." So that's and I went home and told my husband the whole story. And then as soon as I was done telling it, I fell to the floor and just screamed, cried because my body just realized what just happened, right? Like, and my husband instantly was just angry. He's like, he was so angry. And that was the day he lost full respect for my brother. Like, he was checked out. He's like, "This is done." He's like, "I still support your journey, babe, but I don't want anything to do with him. I'm done." And I don't blame him. Like, and he's like, Are you mad at me?" I said, "No. You do what you need to do. I'll do what I need to do." And he goes, "Now, if you want a relationship with your brother, that's on you, but I don't wanna come near him." I'm like, "I respect that. You're my spouse, and I respect that." But we never had to deal with it yet, but yeah, still to this day, you know, 8.5 years later, he's like, "I'm still feel the same way." He's like, "I think about that day all the time." It just scary,
Wow.
you know?
Wow. That is wow. I think
That's only a minor thing that happened.
wow. Um,
It went through quite a lot.
well, you're you seem like you're doing great, and that is I'm sure it's taken a lot of
Yeah.
time and healing
Mhm.
and practicing. Um,
Mm.
how how do you manage a relationship with your family,
Mhm.
but try to make sure the toxicity from home life doesn't carry into our kids?
Yeah, I'm very open with my kids and their uncle, um, to an extent, right? Because 'Cause they're still kids. So my youngest, she doesn't really know him. Like I said, she was a week old when she met him, so she knows about him. She knows I have another brother, she has another uncle. I basically just told her, like, he's in adult timeout. Um, Whereas my son, he's gonna be 13, and he has these faint memories of his uncle, and he adored him. So he's like, "Mom, I miss him, but I'm starting to not remember him, but I wanna know more." I'm like, "Well, I can tell you what I know. I don't know anything really current." He's like, "Why is he gone? Like, what did he do?" And I'm like, I'm not gonna get into detail with stories, but I can tell you, like," so I just tell him, like, he's done drugs, alcohol, he's done bad things to people, like, which he has consequences, which is usually jail or prison and losing relationships with people. But these are all things that he's done to himself. No one's done it to him. He's chosen this path, and this is the consequences that you got from his what he's chosen. So, and my son's like, you could just feel the wheels turning, right? Like he's like, huh. And I said, "What do you think?" He goes, "Well, can I still love him?" Like, "Oh my god, yes. Like, you can love him on 100%. He's still family. Like, I still love him. I always will. That's never, ever gonna change. But I can't have a relationship with him, honey, because I need to protect you and your sister." And he's like, "From what?" I'm like, "Well, sometimes when people like your uncle, when they choose to do drugs, they aren't their same selves. They do things that aren't safe, and I don't want you around that until he wants to be better. I'm not saying he can't be a part of your life. So, like, when you're older and you're 18 and he gets a hold of you, that's on you, what you do from that. Like, but for right now, I'm doing what I need to do because you're young." And he's like, "Will we ever see him again?" I said, "I hope so. I really do. I really, really hope so." Like, and that, I mean, and anytime my son comes to me with questions, I'm very open and honest. I mean, I don't wanna hide anything from him because why be a secret? It is what it is, and then I just kinda, like, show him, like, "Hey, this is why parents are always so on kids to be careful with who you choose in your circle and what you choose to do because this is the outcome. This is stuff like this."
I absolutely love that you're, still allowing and encouraging love and showing that love doesn't always mean spending a ton of time together. Um,
Yeah.
and love is being ready for them to heal and
Mhm.
ready for what will come. Um,
Well, love is what makes us human. I mean, it's the one thing we take with us when we go. So why why does it have to stop, right? It never should, no matter what. So, I mean, yeah, I want my kids to know, like, you can love someone from a distance. It doesn't have to be always be affection. It doesn't always, it's a feeling.
and I'm sure they see those boundaries that you're setting. And
Mhm.
I think that's like, of course, it's not an ideal thing to have to be setting such boundaries with your family. Um,
Right.
but it's probably a really positive thing in their life to see someone setting healthy boundaries,
Mhm.
um, so they can witness that too.
Well, I think it's a good thing to set that because then it'll become second nature to them, like, "Oh, boundaries is like a normal thing, right? I can do this in the right way without hurting someone because I saw it growing up."
And if someone loves you, they are going to love that you brought up and shared your boundary. That's something that took a long time for me to realize, like, um, this you can do a kind of if you share a boundary and it doesn't go well, it's, kind of a mess. Um, you can do an exercise to think, if it was reversed and they shared that boundary with me, how would I have responded? And if you can see a stark difference, like, well, I probably would have just been like, "Thank you for sharing that. I care about you, and I'm gonna do my best to try to respect that." Um, that's probably if you love them, that's probably how you'll respond, and you can be like, "Okay, that's probably how I would have responded. So maybe the big blow up thing wasn't because I did something wrong. Maybe it's just because of things that are out of my control."
Right.
So,
I mean, a lot of our emotions and anger, everything, it comes from, the fear of being told something negative about yourself, or hurting somebody or whatever. But like, that's another thing I try to teach my kids too going forward that I learned with others with addiction. Try to put yourself in their shoes. Always try to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Try to see it through their eyes and then go in with big ears, right? Like, really hear them out, right? And it can change your perspective so much when you put yourself in that mindset. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but try to see it through their eyes, like, because there's times too where people try to say something and then everyone takes it some people take it the wrong way, and it's like, that's not always the intention, and if you feel like they're saying it in a way you don't understand, you could just be like, "Can you explain that to me a little bit more?" Like, just ask questions. Like, always you can never ask too many questions.
what are some of your biggest takeaways, or realizations from working with so many, different families in different, hard situations?
Um, my biggest takeaway is not every addict is the same. I think I went through a lot of turmoil with this person, but that doesn't mean the next story is gonna be just as bad. I mean, to them it is, right? Um, I take away that I can't fully compare. Um, it's opened my eyes a lot to wanting to learn more specifically about why addicts are addicts and understanding them more because they need support too. But the main thing is I realize that us siblings, we don't really get a ton of it. Not that that's is no one's fault. Like no one did anything wrong, but it made each session I'm like, man, I want to keep going. I want to keep going and be support these people because there's so much people like myself that don't have it. Um, so it's really it kind of humbled me a lot.
Mm. Um, we're getting close on time here, but I do wanna bring up, um, like, what is the point of siblings? Like, in a dream world.
Yeah. Oh, I think it is the team you have to help you through life because you grew up in the same dynamic. You have the same parents. I always say each sibling has the same parents, but at the same time, they have the parent at a different stage in life. So, oh, it's the same person physically, but it's a different person each kid because the parents are growing too, each child. Um, so you kind of have a little bit of different experiences, even though you're in the same home. But it's the one person that can fully understand what you're talking about when it comes to your stress or fears or anything with your parents. They're the only people that fully understand because they were there too and they know these people too. So, even if you're an only child, that's okay, but I have to say having a blessing our siblings is a blessing, especially if you have good relationships with them because I mean, yeah, I had my spouse, but my siblings, we helped each other survive, like, through a lot of things, not just my brother's addiction, but just so much, and we still are there. You know, there's things that mean we talk about my parents have no idea. You know, they don't know. They don't because they don't need to. Like, it's our own team. Like, we're our own team. It's pretty incredible. Siblings are the one person, like I said, that will fully get what you mean when it comes to anything that you experienced growing up. Like, they're the only ones.
Mm. How can we cultivate that kind of, just amazing that explanation was fantastic. Um, how can we cultivate that in our kids, that they'll have a team and they'll have a bond with their siblings?
Yes. I think that's why I'm a little hard on my kids, and I wouldn't say hard on them, but, like, my son will have moments where, you know, he's learning that he like, sometimes he'll, like, choose his buddies over his sister or, like, the friends will, like, tease her, and he just sits there, and I, like, bring him over, I say, "Look, you 2 are a team. You have each other forever. You need to have each other's backs. You don't ever let anybody treat you like, you be there for each other, like, you know, if someone is sitting there being mean to your sibling, you have full permission to go over there and stick up for them. Like, that is your family, your best mate. Like, that is your friend, like, your forever teammate. Like, that is someone that's gonna be so important in your forever life. Like, you're gonna have a bond that I can never understand, and I want you to embrace that. I think because it's so important because I was so blessed to have that. I want them to have that. So, like, I'm always encouraging them to really see how important they are to one another. And, like, certain things too, when, like, she bugs him, I said, "Dude, it's only because she thinks you're the coolest thing on earth right now, like, y she adores you, like, take it as a compliment. I know you're annoyed, but she's coming from a really good place. She just wants to be in your presence, like, even if you're not playing with her, let her just come sit in your room and hang out." Like, it's those little things she's gonna forever remember. You know, like, "Oh, my brother was so cool, and, like, I got to just hang out with him." Like, little things go such a long way.
Mhm.
And even when he comes in, like, Ruff's house with her and she's like, "He's too rough." I said, "I think that's just his way of, like, wanting to hang out with you." Like, it's like trying to teach them both their different languages, you know,
Mm.
kinda guide and show them, like, everything you do to each other isn't always a negative. Like, it's part of your bonding.
I love that. I love that idea of, like, helping each sibling learn the other sibling's language, and I'm sure that translates so much too in life. We'll be like, "Okay, I've learned this sibling's language, I can probably learn this new girlfriend's language, this new boyfriend's
For
language.
sure.
I can."
100%.
Yeah.
Mhm. because you tend to love the person the way you wanna be loved. It's kinda
Mhm,
so you kinda have to pay attention to those cues.
mhm. Um, what just, oh, man, I just wanna talk forever.
I know.
This is it's such a wonderful conversation. Um,
I don't need it because I talk too much. I'm like, "Ah!"
look, you're doing so good. I'm loving every second.
Good.
And I did have one last question I wanted to ask, which is,
Okay.
what roles should an addict play in our life, an addict sibling or
Yeah.
relationship, and what roles should they not play in our life?
That's a hard one because there's not a role they should play. It goes back to, like, we can't control what they're gonna do or what role they're gonna take. You can set that in your boundary, like, "I need you to be a person that respects my space. I need you to be a person that needs to be there for me, like, I need you to be my big brother." Like, the role can be so simple. Like, for me, I've said to my brother, I'm like, "I need you to be my big brother. I'm the little sister, not the big sister. Like, I need you sometimes." So, I'm like, "I need you to be there for me just little things like that. Like, but when it comes down to, like, when you said, "What do they need to be?" I guess they get support from us, but they also need to be support to us as well. Like, you can be supportive of someone even in their positives, not their negatives, right? Um, like my brother, when he's getting clean, we're all supportive of him. And even when he's not clean, like, I still support him as a human, because I want him to have this life he deserves. But it depends on him. I mean, he has to do the work. He has to want it. Um, but yeah, when I set those boundaries with him, I basically said to him, like, what I need from you is space, but I also need you to still be there for me if I need you. Like, I love you. You're my big brother. And whether I get that from him or not, I can't control that. But he knows. I've said my piece. He knows. He's heard it. So
Mhm.
it's just a matter of time.
Well,
I don't know if that answered it for you, but
no, that was wonderful, and this whole conversation has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for your
you're
time
welcome.
and
I
your
love it.
insights. Um, I've loved this, Stacy. Do you have anything for the audience, like where they can find you, any resources for them and stuff like that?
Yeah. So if you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, you can go to my website. It's just Peace Beyond Addiction. It's support for siblings of addicts. Now, if you feel like you have no one, like say it's a parent that's an addict or whatever, I'm not going to turn you down. Like support, right? But yes, my main goal is for the siblings. But yeah, you can find me all over social media. Um, you can do a free consultation with me to see if like that's your right journey. Because sometimes you just got to feel someone out before you jump in. I want you to feel comfortable, safe, be able to open up to me. And if I'm not your person, that is okay. There's no fault in that. That's why I do the free consultations. But yeah, if you want to jump in, you can tell me your story and then we go from there and we see what we can do to help you find peace and clarity in this journey that you're going through.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Stacy. This has been awesome.
Welcome. Thank you. This is awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you.